Fox Sports.
We are Black Horse. We are Florida.
Starlin Castro, goodbye. A home run for Starlin, a long home run to left field. He unloads. My goodness. In comes Javi Guerra in a 2-1 game. Inheriting a bases loaded, 1-out situation. Chop to short, Riddle, Castro. Pick up the win. Hi, everybody, and welcome to South Florida. Marlins baseball is on the air. It's the Cardinals and Marlins in the middle game of a 3-game set. The roof is closed tonight. Marlins hope to stay in the win column. It was a nail-biter last night. Paul Severino, Todd Hollandsworth with you here inside the broadcast booth. But the Marlins did pick up the win and snap a 6-game skid. That 9th inning, though, boy, that was tight. It was touch and go for a little while. Kyle Barraclough came in, and we have seen this guy certainly at his best. The reliever of the month in June, but he has been scuffling as of late.
Well, and maybe the way you describe it now is searching. That's what you go through as a player when things aren't going your way. You're looking for answers, and you're trying to find those answers. And you saw early on he was missing down the middle of the plate, and then obviously as the inning went on, he started to miss off. And that tells you where he's at right now. Doesn't know where those corners are, and he's really lost that fastball command. But I talk about it a lot, confidence. When you lose it, sometimes it's really hard to get back. And right now, Barraclough is doing everything in his power to get that confidence back.
So Kyle Barraclough was lifted, gave way to Javi Guerra through a couple of pitches. One was a 6-4-3 double play, and the Marlins picked up the W.
Let me tell you something. We've had 7 walk-off wins in this building this year. That was a walk-off win on defense. I've never seen that before. It's certainly what it felt like. All the momentum. The Cardinals had snatched it all back. Guerra comes in, makes one big pitch, gets that double play. I think we all walked out here like it was a walk-off last night.
Yeah, it felt like it for sure. So now the other side of this is that Kyle Barraclough not going to be the closer for now. Marlins going to go closer by committee for the next little while Barraclough tries to figure things out. All right, tonight's starting pitcher is Pablo Lopez, coming off arguably one of his best starts of his young career. Well, frankly, a lot of them have been good.
I'll tell you what, the Philly start to me was about his swagger. I felt it. That's, watching Lopez in his last start, you saw the confidence. Gave up the 5 hits, the 1 earned run. That was on a Rhys Hoskins home run. But again, a few jams here, a couple of spots there, made big pitches. His breaking balls were working. It wasn't a situation where he was searching for stuff. He was in complete control all game long. And I'll tell you what, I was impressed with his poise.
Yeah, so he will get his first look at the St. Louis Cardinals. Meanwhile, the Marlins get their second look at an all-star. Miles Michaelis on the bump tonight. He was the one that started in the finale, the only game the Cardinals won in St. Louis.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, he was efficient, and I think you're going to expect the same from him tonight. Michaelis comes right at you. This Marlins team can get after him a little bit, maybe help him get him out of gear. That's the whole objective tonight. Get him out of gear, because if he gets in gear, he's been really good this year.
From the majors to Japan, back to the major leagues. The story of Miles Michaelis as we get going, and we're just getting started. On a Twitter Tuesday, we check in with Jessica next. players start, we get set for Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, one thing that we have seen from the Marlins all season long, they are giving rookies the opportunity to compete in the big leagues. Another thing that we have seen, multiple young players tearing it up in the minor leagues and working their way through the ranks. So for tonight's Twitter and Email Tuesday, we're going to go with the hashtag that you have seen all year long, just getting started. Send your emails to foxmarlins@gmail.com. Those tweets can go to @foxmarlins, and be sure to use tonight's hashtag, just getting started. This organization wants to build things the right way, and Don Mattingly knows that investing in the minor league system is a part of the equation to success.
Derek's talked about it, new ownership's talked about, Gary talks about it. Building this thing from the bottom up, that means doing it right from the bottom up. It means guys understanding what we expect, you know, as a Marlin, and how you're expected to you know, not necessarily just perform, but that way you approach, you know, the business of baseball, and the way we look for you to be off the field too. So a lot of those things get developed, you know, through that time.
You heard Don Mattingly mention Derek Jeter. Just a reminder, Derek will join us tomorrow night for our broadcast in the booth with the guys. Coming up next, it's first pitch between the Marlins and the Cardinals in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Javi Garrett came through big time last night for Miami. Can they make it 2 in a row?
Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By W.B. Mason. Who but W.B. Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet. See your South Florida dealer today. And by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. It looks like the rain has held off for now. Maybe some dark skies in the distance, but the roof closed for the middle game of this 3-game series. Cardinals and Marlins, we are just about set for the first pitch from Pablo Lopez to Matt Carpenter, which misses outside, a ball and no strikes. Here is a look at the Cardinals lineup presented to you by Southwest. Matt Carpenter, of course, in the top spot. We'll see Yadier Molina, number 2. He was the one that grounded out to end the ball game last night. And Jose Martinez also due up in this first inning. Of course, the return of Marcell Ozuna in this series as well. Ozuna had himself a nice night last night with 3 hits. 2 balls and no strikes to Carpenter, who takes a called strike.
Well, Pablo Lopez has been throwing the ball very well. He's never faced the Cardinals before. How about a 3.06 ERA in his last 3 starts? And we talked about a shorthanded bullpen. Tonight has gone 6 innings in 5 of his 6 starts, and the other start was 5 2/3, so he's been getting it done on that end. Lefty's hitting .279, righty's .230. There's his numbers, 4.67 ERA on the season. As I mentioned, pitching much better of late. Fastball command has been very good. That secondary stuff has been grading out well as well.
Count runs full to Carpenter, who was 1 for 4 in last night's ball game, but did extend his 25-game on-base streak, which he is hitting .371 during that span. But he comes up empty here. The first out is a strikeout for Lopez. 1 away.
The Marlins defensively for tonight's ball game. How about a double D in left field? Dietrich making his 82nd start, only 1 error, 99.3. That's his fielding percentage. Done a pretty nice job out in left. Sierra in center, Anderson in right, Rojas, Riddle, Castro and Bohr, JT Realmuto behind the plate. 4, his 500th career ball game. Congratulations to JT. Go.
A lot of milestones this year for him.
Now 500 is a big one. I think you kind of start to that, I've made it and now I'm building my career. I remember going that day and somebody kind of reminded me of it. I kind of shrugged my shoulders and they said, how dare you? And I remember, you know, well, the person that was kind of giving me that information was being quite serious. You know, appreciate your career, appreciate every game you get. You don't know how long you're going to go, but 500 is a big number, and it is a stepping stone to what you hope will be 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and you know the likes.
Hoping to, at some point in his career, JT catch upwards of 15,000 innings. Kind of like the guy at the plate, Yadier Molina.
It's a big number.
Yadi was 0 for 4 in last night's ball game. This is the middle stop of a 3-city road trip so far through Pittsburgh and a game in Miami. Molina is 6 for 19. Bounce it right back to the screen. Still 2-2.
Pablo Lopez, that last start August 2nd at Philadelphia, 6 innings, 5 hits, an earned run, 87 pitches, 60 strikes. I mean, he was so impressive first start this season. He did not walk a batter. When I use the word poise and confidence, I mean, we told you that's who he was before he ever threw a pitch at the big league level. That's the first time I really saw it.
On the ground to Rojas at third to get Molina for the second out. Well, that poise was put to the test in a different sense, not so much a hot team or a good lineup or a hot hitter, whatever. There was a 33-minute rain delay in that game too. He was on deck, so he had to wait upwards of, what did we figure, 45, 50 minutes in between pitches. And it's one thing if you're waiting close to an hour because your offense scores 7 runs. It's another thing if you're just kind of sitting around waiting. So the first time in his short career he had to deal with a rain delay. Quite frankly, weathered the storm.
I'll tell you what, his pace has picked up a little bit. For me, noticing that certainly speaks to the conviction for the pitches that are being thrown. He's on board with what he's doing. He's game planning well, and he's just going out there and executing now.
Inside to Jose Martinez. That was the start, however, that the Phillies scored 4 runs in the 9th inning, ended up winning the ball game on a walk-off home run by Maikel Franco. But in terms of what Lopez needed to do, he absolutely did his job yet again.
Well, Marlins have a chance to win a series. If they can win tonight, they've been playing particularly well at home. 12-7 over the last 19 home games.
And a called strike 3 on the outside corner for Lopez, who gets a couple of strikeouts in the first. Marlins coming back. in the bottom of the first inning against Miles Michaelis. Here is a look at the Marlins starting lineup presented by Southwest. It is Derek Dietrich at the top. Starlin Castro with a solo home run last night, which ultimately was the difference in the ball game. Justin Bohr bats one spot ahead of Starlin Castro. And JB had his first multi-hit game since the middle of July last night. Pair that with the fact that he's hit 3 home runs in the last few days, and maybe JB starting to heat up a little bit. We'll hope the Marlins heat up against Miles Michaelis tonight.
Yeah, Miles Michaelis is having a pretty impressive season. 11-3 record. 2.75 ERA, born in Jupiter, Florida. Went to Nova Southeastern. National League All-Star this year. Putting together quite a season. I mentioned 137 innings, 124 hits allowed. He's having himself a complete game shutout against the Kansas City Royals. And the Marlins did face him back on June 7th in St. Louis. 7 innings, 3 hits, a run. It was unearned. Walked 1, struck out 5. Marlins looking to hand him his first road loss of the season. 6-0 with a 356 on the road.
It's inside to Dietrich, 2-1. Yeah, 7 innings, no runs, and 3 hits for Michaelis. Again, that was the day game, the 3rd game of that 3-game set. That was the last game of a 3-city road trip for the Marlins. You had noted before that he likes to work quick and he is efficient. And I thought, well, when did that start? Oh, that's right. It was at the end of a 3-city road trip. Maybe the Marlins just wanted to get home that day.
Yeah.
There's a base hit for Dietrich. And he takes a big turnaround first, but he'll stay there.
It could quite possibly, to answer your question, Paul, be a combination of all things. So here you go. AutoNation scouting report of Michaelis for tonight's ball game. He has been the Cardinal anchor this year, leading the staff in wins, ERA, starts, and innings. Now, think fast. This is really kind of directed at the Marlins batters. 69% strikes on the season. He works fast. He attacks the strike zone. He's only walked 25 all season long in 22 starts. That 1.64 walks per 9, 4th lowest in the National League. Now, ground game. Interesting that we do the AutoNation scouting report right here because you got a runner over at first base. Michaelis, 180 ground outs this year, 2nd in the National League. Marlins, 1st in all of baseball in hitting the ball on the ground. You kind of factor this all together. I've mentioned that St. Louis Cardinals, their defense has not been good this year. 88 errors, most in baseball, 46 unearned runs allowed, 2nd in the National League. There's a combination here that might work very well for the Marlins tonight.
Anderson, a dribbler. Michaelis gets to it, throws to first to get the Marlins right fielder by a step. Up to second goes Dietrich with 1 out.
Here's Cardinals defense for tonight's ball game. Ozuna, Bader, Martinez is the outfield. Jerko, DeYoung, Wong, and Carpenter. That makes up the infield. Molina once again behind the plate. Michaelis on the mound.
A look there at interim manager Mike Schilt. Took over for Mike Matheny a few weeks back. Cardinals in the midst of a number of changes, trying to get back to their winning ways, get back to the postseason. Little work to do with less than 2 months in the 2018 season. JT Realmuto takes a called strike. JT 0 for 4 last night. He is currently mired in an 0 for 13 skid, but if you look past that, a little more than a month's worth of games. His last 34 hitting .294. Enters the day with a .297 batting average, which is just outside the top 10 in the National League, sitting at 12th. He's had some very good success against the Cardinals last night, notwithstanding.
Well, Michaelis, as I mentioned, likes to work fast. You go back to the June 7th start, 75% of the pitches he threw were strikes. And he is going to attack the strike zone. Marlins hitters know this. It was the 2nd highest strike percentage against the Marlins this season. The only game in which they saw more strikes from a starter, Archer, the Rays earlier in the month of July.
Both starting pitchers, their last starts ended in walk-offs. Mentioned the Phillies walking off the Marlins last time out. For Michaelis, he got the start last week when the Cardinals walked off the Colorado Rockies on a Jose Martinez walk-off single before embarking on this road trip through Pittsburgh, Miami, and Kansas City. And in that start for Michaelis, another quality start. 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less. He's got 15 of those this year, his 22 starts. Dietrich leads away from second with 1 out, and the 2-2 pitch is lifted out to right field. Coming in is Martinez, who will have a play on it. Dietrich with the bluff, and there are 2 away.
Well, Michael is backing up the last 2 pitches. Those sliders got me thinking certainly about the last start. I remember when we saw him in June, that's exactly what he did. Second most sliders he had thrown in a game all season long. Last 2 pitches to JT, 89-mile-an-hour slider. He's got a pretty vast arsenal: 4-seam fastball, sinker, slider, curve, and change. Talking to Mike Pagliarulo before the game today, he really loves to attack with the 4-seamer, the sinker. He'll mix in that curve slider combination, but he doesn't change his game plan unless he's forced to, meaning you have to be able to kind of defend the strike zone the right way and get him off his game. In a lot of ways, it speaks to the efficiency. He's going to come at you with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Unless you can do something with it, he's going to continue to throw it. He's not going to change just for the sake of changing.
Dustin Bohr, a couple of hits in last night's ball game. Mentioned before, his first multi-hit game since just before the All-Star break, July 15th. We've seen a lot of that, I feel, in the second half, where JB, and in this particular case, I think he's certainly got a case. It's a little off the edge. The way that one pitch changes a count, 2-0 is a lot different than 1-1. Bohr's got home runs in 3 of his last 5 games. Over the course of his last 5 for 19. Perhaps, hopefully for him and the Marlins, starting to come out of what was a little bit of a slump coming out of the break. And up the middle, that's going to be a base hit. Dietrich around third. Bader's throw from center field is cut off, and the Marlins have a 1-0 lead. An RBI for Justin Bohr.
Now Michaelis goes at JB backwards. Couple of sliders in, a breaking ball away, then a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, 2-seamer. Stays up at about the belt. Nice job by JB going back through the middle. Another line drive. This swing is really starting to come around. Those results starting to show. Good 2-strike hitting by Bohr.
Yeah, it's one thing to put him in the upper deck in right center field, which he does quite a bit during batting practice. It's another to muscle one out to center field, as he did right there. And the Marlins working from in front tonight, much like they did last night, with a run in the first inning. And Now Starlin Castro. Back to the screen. And Castro down to the count 0-2. Starlin, another multi-hit game last night, 37th of the season. Tied for the team lead with Brian Anderson and tied for third in the National League. Along with that solo home run, 7 for 17 this year against the Cardinals.
Look at last night's home run one more time. We had a lot of fun with this, because I'll tell you what, not only was it impressive distance-wise and exit velocity, and I talked about this during the ball game, the windows were open. I mean, there was a strong wind blowing in from left. Did not affect that baseball. It did affect a few others.
Yeah, that one cut through whatever wind there was, but Jed Jerko late in the ball game. My, oh my.
Well, I asked Don Mattingly today, I said, how about that Jerko ball? He goes, oh, yeah, I think most of us thought there was a, home run or two that might have been missed because of those open windows, huh?
Yeah. Off the bat, I thought it was out. I'm watching Sierra, and I think that's actually not even close. Dribbler up the third base line, hugs the line, and finally takes a left-hand turn. Well, back to Jerko last night. Put a charge into it. He thought he had it. A lot of the people in the ballpark thought he had it. But look where it ends up. A couple of steps onto the track. He was there until 3:30 in the morning looking. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, he was in utter disbelief throughout that entire commercial break in between innings, just trying to figure out what happened. Castro out to center field. This too will not get out. Vader makes the play, but Justin Bohr with an RBI single. We'll see Marcell Ozuna next. Off his second game back in Miami. First one last night, had himself 3 hits, and a couple of them were absolute rockets off the bat. His first hit was up over 112 miles an hour. Certainly saw that an awful lot in recent years here in Miami. This one, 110 off the bat. But again, you'll see the ball not necessarily in the air for very long. As we mentioned last night, there have been reports out surrounding Ozuna that he's been dealing with some tendonitis in his right shoulder, some inflammation as well, and certainly hampered his defense in terms of attempting to throw out base runners. It's also hurt him at the plate. And the exit velocity off the bat is there, as it was last night, but it's the launch angle, all these newfangled statistics and measurements that we've got now, but we can see that he's still hitting the ball hard, but not doing much of that, getting the ball up in the air, a long run toward the seats, but a souvenir.
Well, hitting the ball where it is in the strike zone. Again, you know, I think that's kind of where the launch angle conversation gets a little bit distorted. I mean, balls up in the zone generally get hit up in the zone. Balls down will a lot of times get hit down unless we start to talk launch angle. So again, that's where it really hangs. I guess my point on this is, and I know that Ozuna's dealing with a bit of a sore shoulder. He rolls one through the right side. It's not about exit velocity. That one perfectly placed. He keeps that hot hitting going against his former club. And the point being is that I think in life we know that when something hurts us, we don't tend to extend. You know, if you hurt your leg, you don't want to stretch it out even farther. When your shoulder hurts, and I dealt with a little bit of this, although I don't think to the extent that he's dealing with it, extending out. You don't want to do it because it hurts. You don't want to extend it. You want to keep it close to your body. So what does that do? In some ways you might say it helps the swing a little bit in that it's shortening it up, but we talk about being short to long to the ball, and the idea is that you extend, you get those arms extended. I have to believe, you know, knowing what I saw last year from Marcel every day, his swing looks short and compact, but the finish doesn't look like it's nearly the same extension where he would be getting a little bit more angle through his swing and a few more balls in the air.
Well, Jerko is going to try the outfield again. This one to Anderson in right field. And there is the first out here in the second.
Jump into a summer of savings. Marlins Flex 4-pack. You can customize a plan to save on individual game pricing. Lock in priority access to giveaways. Starting at just $20, you can get the Flex 4-pack by visiting marlins.com/flex4 today.
Paul DeYoung takes low. DeYoung 1 for 3 last night. 9 homers, 27 RBIs. Just 2 hits in 11 at-bats on this road trip for the Redbirds. 3 Marlins on the left side of the infield as Lopez delivers the 1-0. It's lined out to Anderson, who makes the catch. And back to first goes Ozuna. 2 outs. I mentioned the rain delay that Lopez had to deal with in his last start. Again, he pitched so well in that game in Philadelphia. And Don Mattingly said after the game, yeah, he went 6, but it was more like 7 in our minds because of the delay. But what he did like about that outing, he stayed on the hunt. Skipper said the way that he pitches, it is fun to watch. Ahead of Colton Wong, 0-1. Wong in the starting lineup tonight after coming in off the bench last night. Off the DL a couple of days ago. He's dealing with some left knee inflammation. Missed 12 games. Activated Saturday.
Now Wong, one of the Cardinals, they're trying to be a little bit more consistent on offense. You kind of look at how this Cardinals offense is put together. You start with Carpenter, maybe you go to an Ozuna, and you start to think power. And listen, Colton Wong is supposed to provide that speed and that consistency. They'd love to see him someday maybe atop the lineup. He just has not gotten there yet. He's a tremendous athlete, good defender. One thing that he was struggling with early on this year, hitting on the road. 105 first 34 road games, but he's been picking it up of late. 4 for 10 on the trip, 396 in his last 15 games.
Well, you figure they're going to give him some kind of a chance. He's in the third year of a 5-year, $25.5 million extension. One of those buyout the last couple of years of arbitration and a year or two of free agency types of deals.
Well, they gave him the contract based on a strong offensive season. He hasn't gotten anywhere near those numbers since the day he signed the deal. Now, the defense has been pretty good, and he's a tremendous base runner. In fact, he's actually a really good pinch hitter, but it's not what they signed him up for.
Correct. 2-2 misses outside. And with 2 outs and a full count, Ozuna will get a head start over at first. On the ground to Castro at second. And Lopez works around the leadoff single. 1-0. Here in Miami, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Miles Michaelis back on the mound for inning number 2. Marlins scored 1 in the bottom of the first inning on a Justin Bour RBI single. It'll be 6, 7, and 8 for the Marlins. JT Riddle, Miguel Rojas, and Magneuris Sierra. Riddle squares to bunt and fouls it back, 0-1.
Starting to see a similar pattern with Michaelis already. First pitch this inning, the slider, 89, 90 miles an hour. On the hands of JT, who was trying to bunt for a base hit. Riddle base hit last night, 1 for 3. Numbers in his career against the Cardinals, 333 over 33 at bats.
Up the middle, but Michaelis makes the play, and the underhand flip to Carpenter for the first out. Again, Michaelis was an all-star this year, but did not partake in the festivities in Washington, D.C. Had some festivities to take care of at home in Jupiter, Florida. His wife, Lauren, they welcomed a twin daughter-son combination on July 16th. So congratulations to the Michaelis family, as Holly mentioned before, from Jupiter, home to Southeastern University. Ground ball, that's DeYoung behind the second base bag, and the stretch by Carpenter, 2 away. Originally a 7th round pick of the Padres in 2009, Miles Michaelis. John Gant and Trevor Richards tomorrow Marlins Live pregame show on the air at 6:30 Eastern Time. First pitch, the series and season finale against the Cardinals, a little after 7 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow. Sierra swings and misses. Of course, Sierra, a former St. Louis Cardinal, who set the franchise record last year, opened his career with a 9-game hit streak. Dribbler, Jerko, and got him by a step. So says the first base umpire, Mark Wegner. Marlins may want to take a look at it. One more look. Wow.
Wow, is that close?
Yeah.
My goodness.
And the call on the field is out. So from what we just saw a moment ago, and that you can't quite see the glove.
I think it's in the interior of the glove.
So I don't know if there would be enough to overturn.
Has Matt Carpenter got the deepest glove in the National League? My goodness, it's like it's just gobbling up that baseball.
Well, it's the Marlins are not going to challenge. It's a 5-pitch inning. 1-0 Marlins.
Fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by Coors Light. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
Not a long time for Pablo Lopez to catch his breath after a 5-pitch bottom of the second for Miles Michaelis, who was due up second this inning. Harrison Bader to lead things off, then Michaelis, and the top of the order, Matt Carpenter. A couple of strikeouts in the first inning for Lopez, worked around a leadoff single in the second, as Bader fouls one back and out of play. 0-1. Bader 2 for 4 last night, 5 for 14 on the trip for the Redbirds. By the way, the Cardinals have had just shy of 1,000 base runners the last few days. I mentioned this last night, what they did against Pittsburgh. And of course, the way the game ended, we didn't really touch on it. But in Pittsburgh over the weekend, 3 games, they're 14 for 48 with runners in scoring position. 37 men left on base. Last night, 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, 10 men left on base. So in their last 4 games, they have left a small village on the base paths. They're 2-2 in their last 4. Bader skies this one. Foul territory for Rojas. That's the first out in the third.
So much for get him on, get him in.
Yeah. They got the on part. They got the get him over part. It's the maybe the get him in part. So coming up in the bottom of the third inning, we'll talk with the pitching coach Juan Nieves. Certainly a lot to discuss with Juan. How good Pablo Lopez has looked in his little more than a handful of starts. Maybe we'll ask him what's going on with Wei and Chen, the home road split phenomenon, but I'm sure the first thing.
Didn't mean to laugh right there. You know what?
But it is a phenomenon. Nobody can explain it.
I did not mean to interrupt. It's funny. I asked him a question about that. It just took me back. I totally forgot to follow up. I asked him about that about 3 weeks ago, and he laughed at me. He just said, "Yeah, you have to ask him." I said, "You got nothing?" He's like, "Talk to Chen about it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's probably the right answer."
Well, we'll.
I mean, it is incredible. I mean, the extremes, certainly worth noting. I mean, Chen was absolutely fantastic last night. All right, here you go. Just because he's improved, and I was telling everybody about it, 4th in the National League, right, in home ERA. He's now 2nd.
Miles Michaelis with a base hit through the left side. 2nd in home ERA, you say?
Yeah, after last night's 5 2/3 2-hit performance, obviously no earned runs. 194 home ERA. That is 2nd in the National League behind Cy Young contender Jacob deGrom.
Home and road Cy Young contender.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
I stopped where I stopped for a reason.
Fair enough. But yeah, so we'll talk with Juan, bottom of the inning. And of course, the big news around the Marlins is that they're going to give Kyle Bearclaw a little bit of a break from that closer's role, try to get him back on track, back in rhythm. And in the meantime, go with a little closer by committee. There's a look at the bullpen now. Again, certainly not 100% sure who would be available tonight. Guerrero threw 29 pitches last night. Steck 27. Claw 21. Called strike to Carpenter. Struck out to open the night. Average down to 281. It was as low as 140 on May 15th. Miles Michaelis, the runner, over at first base. 3 Marlins on the right side of the infield against Carpenter, who grounds it foul. And here's why they play him that way. StatCast AI, powered by AWS, the distribution of balls in play on the ground on the infield. Or should I say to the right side of the infield.
Well, it's the right side of the infield, right side of the outfield. I mean, he is kind of one of the few in the game where you can just say, oh, maybe we should just take everybody and put him over there. To be honest with you.
That one's up and in.
Lopez gets his attention. Matt Carpenter spins around and stares out towards the mound. I mentioned it last night, so we're not bringing it up now. Let's take another look. Up and in. There we go. 25 of his 29 home runs have gone to right field. This one almost got him. So it's balls in the air as well. More pulled home runs by Matt Carpenter than anybody in baseball.
And a called strike 3. Well, Carpenter looked at both strike 3 and Lopez.
Well, nifty job by Lopez. This two-seamer gets the plate, inner third. It's not a borderline pitch. That's attacking the strike zone. Carpenter could not pull the trigger. It's his second strikeout tonight.
I mean, would you think about it? The extreme shifts. Who was it? refresh my memory, Joe Madden over the weekend or a few days ago? He had literally
Carpenter.
every defender from second base to the right side.
Yeah, he did it against Carpenter. Carpenter laid down the bunt to the left side, took the bunt. It was early in the ball game, and in fact came around to score. You and I were talking about it. You know, leadoff runs and percentages in that capacity. It wasn't really about the bunt. It was about, you know, scoring the first run. But ideally, yeah, that's what Matt Carpenter looks to do. I mean, most of his action is to the middle and to the right. I mean, his off field is center field a lot of times.
Molina out to center. Sierra underneath it for the final out. When we come back, we'll talk with the pitching coach, Juan Nieves, on the other side of the break with the Marlins up 1-0. Todd Hollinsworth with you, a 1-0 Marlins lead. Very happy to be joined by the pitching coach, Juan Nieves. Juan, thanks for the time. Let's start with, again, the big headline around the team right now. We know how good Kyle Bearclaw has been, reliever of the month in June, but in his last 4 2/3 innings, 12 earned runs. What are you seeing with Kyle?
Well, we're seeing a deficiency, of course, of, you know, especially bad luck on poor located fastballs, and of course, the amount of walks, not strike enough. Efficiency overall with a strike has been very, very bad, and of course with the fastball command. But there's some delivery adjustments we have to make, and of course the game plan for him is his strengths instead of thinking about the hitter's weaknesses. And I think that you compile that, and you get the equation of what's happened so far.
When a pitcher like Kyle is going through what he's going through right now, do you use your eyes? Do you use video? Do you use analytics? How do you get to the bottom of it?
We used everything available for us, the visual, the video, and the thought process. And we don't ever want him to be unaggressive and attack the zone with all his the great repertoire he has.
Juan, you know, listen, I can speak to it in terms of a hitter. I know that you see this and pitchers deal with it differently, but we're talking about the exact same thing, and that's what I'm hoping you'll get at, the word confidence. When a pitcher loses his confidence, what does he work towards in order to get it back?
Well, I think when a pitcher loses his confidence and aggressiveness, they're done. We haven't got to that point yet. We just being very positive with him, and also the thought process of attacking the zone and not worrying about the results.
Derek Dietrich takes a ball low. 1 out for Dietrich, who singled and scored back in the first inning. Pitching coach Juan Nieves is with us. How about tonight's starting pitcher, both tonight and what you've seen in his first handful or more of starts here, Pablo Lopez?
Well, it's a guy with a great composure, a strike thrower, and I want him to continue building on that. gets really prepared before every game. He wants to know all the information on all the guys, first pitch swingers, what are their take zones and hot zones, of course. But it's a student of the game, and I'm very pleased with him. He's in a great position for a bright future.
All right, Juan, I'm going to box you into a corner here. This is going to be a tough one. You know, you and me, right? All right, so you and I were having a conversation about a week ago. Hard hit ball through the middle by Double D. Another hit for Dietrich. We were talking about Chen, and Chen was absolutely fantastic once again last night. I'm sure you're aware. If you're not, I'm going to tell you. He is second in the National League in home ERA. He's trailing Cy Young contender Jacob deGrom. All right, everybody wants to know, a home ERA of 194 and a road ERA of 1027. How?
Well, I think, I think his preparation is exactly the same.
Right.
He's run into some tough situations on the road, bad starts, and we're working toward, remember, this guy hasn't been healthy since his time here, so there's some adjustments for him delivery-wise. We're trying to get him back to the 14-15 Baltimore Orioles years. And it takes a while. I think overall he's battling. Well, I like to sleep at home too, but I'm not taking that in consideration for his flaw on the road. But we have to be tougher. We have to be aggressive in the zone just as much as he is at home.
I want to ask about one guy on your pitching staff who hasn't thrown a pitch yet. I know JT Realmuto certainly works with you, with the pitchers. What has he been able to do to kind of be your right-hand man on the field?
Well, JT is coming a long way since 16, and of course every year, every game he catches is another feather in his hat. He's come a long way. He's becoming a student of the game too. He's taking the catching aspect of the game just as serious as his offense, and it's very good. It's very pleasing to see that.
All right, Juan, we appreciate the time. A double play ends this inning. We'll talk to you soon, pal.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you
Juan,
for having me.
All right, we step aside. 1-0 Marlins after 3.
DJ Khaled is making his way to Marlins Park this Sunday. Get your hands on an exclusive bobblehead giveaway when we take on the Mets. Start at just $20. Visit marlins.com/giveaways today. The two of you have a beard. You tried to, steal Pitbull's Mr. 305.
It's got
claimed it as your own.
A little more up top.
A little more up top.
But if you mesh the two together, you got the DJ
we got you.
Khaled, you got Pitbull, If those two stars align and just absolutely collide and explode, you get me?
You're a mix of those two megastars?
Absolutely.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Love it.
With about 1/8 billionth of the social media following that those two have. Sure. Somewhere in that neighborhood. Two 2-0 to Jose Martinez, who's swinging barehanded at third. Rojas makes the play. How about Miggy? Knew the only way to get the out was with the bare hand, and unbelievable play to start the inning.
Oh, you see the high chopper slow to third. Bare hand in. Great throw. Nice stretch. Justin Bohr over at first base. Fantastic play. Boy, oh boy, when he was done, he ended up near home plate.
The Bonefish Grill fresh catch of the day. No net needed. How about this? A strike on the outside corner to Marcell Ozuna. Well, we have talked so much about the defense of this entire team and how certainly on the infield it is about as good as they come in Major League Baseball, and Miguel Rojas has been able to play every infield position and play it extremely well. Tonight, able to give Martin Prado a day off. The pride of Perry Hill. I don't know if that's his official nickname, but for now it can be. Castro, and there are two away.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to fpl.com/beattheheat.
Let's check in with Craig.
Jed Jerko has come up 251 times now this season. This is 252. He said the ball he hit last night was the hardest ball he has hit all season, and he nearly hits one right at us. So I'm just telling the story here, Jed. He couldn't believe it. He was stunned. You guys talked about it earlier around at first. He thought it was a 3-run homer, 8th inning. Huge hit here for the Cardinals. Marcell Ozuna told him afterward the ball doesn't travel with the roof open nearly as much. And Jed said, I've never played here with the roof open, but he got a look at that. One of the Cardinal players told him, you didn't hit the ball. It exploded off your bat. They were in shock. There was a ball hit well early in the game by Hader, too. Wasn't carrying last night, and maybe was the difference in the ball game.
Absolutely. And like I said before, I think everybody in the building thought that that ball was gone or at least off the wall. And it got up there and hung up, and it looked like a routine fly ball.
I think Craig should go down during batting practice tomorrow and tell him to hit the weight room.
You love getting people in trouble, don't you?
You tell him, Craig.
You want me to tell Bohr to be a pinch hitter. You want Craig to tell Jerko to hit the weight room.
Listen, he's stunned that the ball didn't get out of here. The weight room. Of course, that's coming from Craig.
Craig Minervini, Miami, Florida. There's a called strike three, a 1-2-3 fourth for Pablo Lopez. Marlins carry a 1-0 lead into the home half when we come back. Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. The Cleveland Clinic. Stiff joints, aches, and pains. Trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. And by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Sun setting on South Florida. Middle game of a 3-game set here inside Marlins Park. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, and Craig Minervini. Marlins with a 1-0 lead. Justin Bour, an RBI single in the first inning. They will look to add to it here against Miles Michaelis. It is JT Realmuto, Justin Bour, and Starlin Castro in the 4th. And on the first pitch, right to Jerko at third, we check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, it is a Twitter and email Tuesday, and tonight we're using that hashtag #JustGettingStarted. We threw out a question on Twitter that we wanted fans to answer. Which young players, whether they're currently on the big league roster or not, are you most excited about? And we've already gotten some great responses. How about Austin Dean, who's batting .319 in AAA New Orleans, or Nick Neidert, who's got a sub-3 ERA in Jacksonville? There's also a lot of fans who are excited about some of these young arms currently in the Marlins starting rotation, like a Pablo Lopez, like a Trevor Richards. Guys, for you, when you think about young players, is there one or two that jumps off the page that you're excited about?
That's a terrific question. I think that this entire season, and it's going to sound like a cop-out, and I apologize for that, but it's nice to see kind of how things are beginning to go here, and it's especially for me, being my first year here, getting to know guys in spring training and be able to see the players grow, see this organization in this new direction grow. To pinpoint one particular player, I think, would be a bit unfair. Justin Bour takes a called strike. It was, again, JB's RBI single in the first, accounting for the lone run here tonight. Chopper up the middle. And Bour is retired for out number 2. Well, it's time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight, or should we say Spotlights. So the top 4 draft picks all moving up a level. Number 13 overall pick, Connor Scott, Osiris Johnson, Will Banfield, all going up to Greensboro. And the number 89 overall pick, Tristan Pompey, from Greensboro to Jupiter. So congratulations to all 4 of those players. Certainly love to see the progress early on, first month or 2 in the system. And one of the many topics we'll talk with CEO Derek Jeter about tomorrow night. So he'll join us in the finale of this 3-game set. Strike to Starlin Castro.
And the Marlins were able to push across a run in the first inning. Starting in the second, Michaelis has been on a run. Now 20 pitches. Since the start of the second inning, 8 ground outs. All 8 outs have been recorded on the ground. He's done it in just 21 pitches.
Well, he's getting results, which, again, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? But he also works quick.
And he certainly does, averaging just under 15 pitches per inning on the season.
Right field line, long run for Martinez, but that will reach the seats. But even just in terms of time in between pitches, you know, he and Lopez, you know, anybody who's policing pace of play, I mean, they are just
turn the channel.
Yeah. Don't have to worry about these 2 guys. Ball and 2 strikes to Castro. Cut on and miss, chase 1 down, and we are through 4 here at Marlins Park with Miami up 1-0. Sports Florida and Southwest Airlines are giving you an opportunity to enter for a chance to win an all-inclusive stay in Nassau in the Bahamas on Labor Day weekend for the Southwest Airlines Summer Days Getaway. Just tweet hashtag Southwest Summer Days Sweeps and hashtag sponsored to @FoxSportsFL for your chance to win. Pablo Lopez out for the 5th inning. Face Paul DeYoung, Colton Wong, and Harrison Bader. 1-0 ball game. DeYoung with a line out to Brian Anderson in his first at-bat. Now a line drive to left field that will get down for a base hit. Makes the turn towards second to throw from Dietrich. Not in time. A leadoff double for Paul DeYoung here in the 5th.
Yeah, DeYoung, the best swings in the game. His two-seamer stays up just a bit. Little arm side run. Barrel through it, rips it down into the left field corner. Dietrich does a pretty nice job cutting this off. Corners here at Marlins Park are not easy to defend. And a long way to go, and then you got to get momentum back toward the infield. And for the St. Louis Cardinals, who pride themselves on extra base hits, that's their first in the series. And 13 of their 39 hits in Pittsburgh were extra base hits. First one here in Miami.
Oh, 0-1 to Colton Wong. Ball and a strike. A ground out the first trip for Wong. Mentioned the time on the disabled list for him, but in July prior to his trip to the disabled list, he was hitting .309, hitting on base at a .350 clip before missing about 2 weeks with that knee injury. So Jairo Munoz get the start at second base last night. And this Cardinals team has a much different look now than it did when the Marlins were in St. Louis earlier this season. This one on the ground to Riddle's got to wait for the hop. And that's the first out with DeYoung moving from second to third. South Florida Honda dealers present Marlins Live, the pregame show tomorrow. Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson live from center field. John Gant and Trevor Richards are the two starting pitchers tomorrow. Richards has been unbelievable as of late. I don't even know, that's certainly underselling just how good he's been. 1 or no runs in each of his last 4. Harrison Bader bats, infield in for the Marlins. Swings and misses. And it's 0-1. Bader popped up wide of the third base bag back in inning number 3. Little looper, and that will get into the glove of Riddle.
What a great sequence right there by Pablo. Absolutely fantastic. Started the at-bat off with a changeup, got inside with that 92-mile-an-hour two-seam fastball, and got a broken bat pop-up.
Now the infield moves back for the pitcher Miles Michaelis, who singled through the left side in his first at-bat back in the third. Taps it foul, 0-1. Nothing in 2 to Michaelis with DeYoung off of third. Waved at and missed, and a strikeout for Lopez. So a leadoff double stranded at third. Lopez with the strikeout to the bottom of the 5th in Miami. The Coors Banquet timeless moment. It was on this date in 2016 that Ichiro collected hit number 3,000. A 3-base hit at Coors Field. The 30th member of the 3,000 hit club, part of a 10-7 Marlins win that day. He and Paul Molitor, the only members of the 3,000 hit club to reach it with a triple for their 3,000th hit. Not many guys have gotten to 3,000 hits on a home run, but Wade Boggs did also on this day. Did so in 1999, a home run with the Tampa Bay Rays. Here's JT Riddle to lead things off. And he takes the ball outside. Of course, Derek Jeter. Alex Rodriguez, also 3,000th hit for a home run.
Plethora of information.
They've been oozing out of my ears.
Yes, you do, right?
Sometimes I don't know my left from my right, but boy, I can tell you.
Number of men who entered the Hall of Fame. No, I'm sorry. Got their 3,000th hit on specific hits.
Right,
I love
exactly.
it.
That's right. Well, not many hits against Miles Michaelis. The Florida Lottery in-game jackpot shows that he has been a ground ball machine, which is something you mentioned off the top tonight.
I'll tell you, well, he's great at getting ground balls. The Marlins hit a lot of them, and well, he's getting both. Of course, he's trailing in this game 1-0. We talked about speed and efficiency early on. Michaelis 23 pitches in the first inning, 23 pitches in the second, third, and fourth inning combined.
Yeah, he is at 50 pitches right now. 1-2 count on JT Riddle, who grounded back to Michaelis, leading off the second. After Riddle, Rojas, and Sierra. Didn't chase. Count even up 2 balls and 2 strikes. Riddle has one of his 5 home runs this season against the St. Louis Cardinals. A couple of RBIs. Yanks this one fair down the right field line. That'll be extra bases for Riddle. It's in the corner. He's not going to stop at second base. On his way to third with a leadoff triple here in the 5th.
JT Riddle starting to find that stroke once again. And I'll tell you, started yesterday, had a pulled base hit to right. He had a great batting practice today, was really concentrating on getting the barrel out in front, and you see this right here as he rips it inside the bag. He is off to the races. Great swing, great point of contact. JT starting to get back on that fastball once again.
I was just talking about Ichiro with a triple for career hit number 3,000. And there's a triple for Riddle. So the Cardinals bring the infield in against Miguel Rojas. And Rojas with a base hit through the left side. And RBI for Miggy, and the Marlins take a 2-0 lead.
Yeah. Marlins haven't stopped hitting the ground balls. Maybe they've just added a little exit velocity to the ground balls. And they're picking a couple of better holes. How about that? Down the line and past a drawn-in infield. Ball hit hard as well. Great swing from Rojas. Drives in the Marlins' second run of the game.
That ball was hit so hard, I think in the infield back, it might have still gotten through.
As I said, it's not like you're all of a sudden going to change who you are when you go up against a ground ball pitcher, but you can find the barrel a little bit more consistently, and certainly this inning, the Marlins have done that. Riddle off the bat, 102 on the triple. Rojas a single, 105.
Oh, and 1-2 Sierra. Grounded out. Nice play by Jerko over at third back in the second inning. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Marlins coaching staff working with Sierra to help to develop the skill of the bunt. Figure out a way to get on base, utilize that unbelievable speed that he's got. As with Lewis Brinson on the disabled list and Cameron Maben now a member of the Seattle Mariners, it has been Sierra that's taken over in center field the last couple of weeks. Came over from the Cardinals. The package that St. Louis sent to Miami in exchange for Marcell Ozuna in December. On the ground to Wong, flip to DeYoung. Be a fielder's choice as Sierra beats it out. I guess one of the things, I don't know if struggle is the right word, but one of the things that the Marlins are also trying to balance with Sierra, when I say that they've been working on him with the bunts, that's not to say that, well, that's the only way he's going to get on base. I mean, we've seen it here and there that the ball can jump off his bat as well.
He's definitely got some pop. I mean, it's a work in progress. And he's moving pretty fast when you're a young guy in the big leagues, especially when you first get there. You're trying to slow things down. You're right. Give him as much as they can on the fly as far as learning and improving. A message right there being delivered to Lopez. Base coach Freddie Gonzalez giving him an idea of where he may want to bunt.
Well, Jerko is about 30 feet in from the bag up the third baseline. Carpenter holding Sierra on at first. Jerko continues to inch in. I mean, he was halfway down the third baseline.
Now, sometimes as a pitcher, got to learn how to directional bunt. I mean, that's the idea. Jerko's going to continue to fly in. You need to pull the bat back and try to put the bat on the ball on the ground, which is a possibility. Michaelis on the mound, or bunt it to the first base side.
Bunts it back to the mound. Michaelis with the toss over to second, and now the throw to second, but Sierra, throw to first rather, Sierra gets back to second base.
Nice job by Lopez doing what was asked. That was the message that was delivered. He got it done. An RBI opportunity for Eric Dietrich, who's 2 for 2 in the ballgame. Scored a run in the first, base hit in the third. Had a couple of nice at bats against Michaelis, using the middle of the field. In fact, both base hits right back through the middle.
Well, he has had 4 multi-hit games in his last 6 against the Cardinals, and now 29 multi-hit games this year, just adding to a career best in that particular category. Moves out of the way of that one, a ball and no strikes. RBI singles from Justin Bour in the first inning and Miguel Rojas here in the 5th. Two and 0 to Dietrich.
You know, Michaelis threw a 2-0 slider to Dietrich. Boy, really came unhinged. He was trying to, the Marlins up 4-0. Wouldn't be surprised if Michaelis tempts him once again with that slider.
This is Carpenter, a step or 2 onto the outfield grass to make the play. Marlins get 1 in the 5th and lead it 2-0. Major League history in 2007, Barry Bonds, career home run number 756 to pass Hank Aaron for the all-time home run mark. I tell you what, this is a busy day in baseball history, right? We had the Bonds home run. We also had the Suzuki 3000th hit. I gave you a little bonus nugget on Boggs, but also Greg Maddux notched his 300th career win on this day in 2004.
Do you have any idea where that 300th career win was? Where it was located?
Where was it located? Was it in Chicago?
It's not.
No, that was Glavine.
was with Chicago.
Right, Glavine had his 300th
He was
win.
in San Francisco. Is that right? No, we were just showing Bonds running around the bases.
Yeah, you're right. Well, no, yeah, because I always think of Glavine, Maddox, and Smoltz together, and I'm pretty sure Glavine got 300 at Wrigley Field.
Listen, you should get way more credit for your knowledge. I just happened to be there.
Oh, okay.
It's the only reason I knew.
All right.
I was there for it.
All right. Buy it. Well, there's Mike Maddox, pitching coach with the St. Louis Cardinals. Of course, Greg, the Hall of Fame pitcher, and Mike, the very widely regarded pitching coach who has bounced around a little bit last couple of years, but Texas and Washington, D.C., now in St. Louis. His first year here with the Cardinals. There's Yadier Molina, 0 for 2 tonight. Next pitch for Pablo Lopez will be number 80. Here he is, 5 1/3 innings pitched. He has gone at least 5 innings in all of his starts. Again, that's certainly not going to win you Cy Young, we understand it, but the bottom line is he has been nothing if not consistent just in terms of getting the team deep into the ball game. In on the hands of Molina, over to Rojas, and we check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, we're taking tweets and emails from Marlins fans tonight, and I've got a couple of Twitter questions from Justin concerning Pablo Lopez. Number one, what are the odds that Pablo is going to bring back the mustache at some point? And number two, what are the odds that we see Pablo as our opening day starter in 2019? Thoughts, please, especially regarding the mustache situation.
Well, I'll take the facial hair part of it since I sport facial hair, and I'll say I happen to like the scruff. I think it looks good. I'm partial to it. The more important thing, though, Holly, where do you perhaps see him fitting in the rotation in 2019?
Well, as far as the mustache is concerned, he's been rolling. I said it tonight coming in. Last start was an outstanding one tonight. It looks very much like his last one against the Philadelphia Phillies, meaning it's only getting better. So if you think the mustache is coming back, I think you're crazy, because it's going to stay with the consistency of the success on the field, because it's basically how 100% of all ball players think. Now, that being said, does he get the ball on opening day? I will peg that at a 20% chance.
20%, okay.
Now, there's 5 guys in the rotation. He's one of them, 20%.
All right. I'll buy that. I will say this. So you're saying he's in the rotation?
I am saying that he's in the rotation.
And I will say this. I don't exactly know what the question was, but Don Mattingly did mention a couple of days ago in meeting with the media, he said something to the effect of, we're worried about the last 2 months of this year. We're not worried about the spring next year. But how the last 2 months go may give guys a head start, whether it's Lopez or any of the Marlins. Right? They're not worried about the 2019 rotation just yet.
Just worried about being a big leaguer and establishing himself. With every start, every awkward swing that you see that second time through that we've seen already this inning against some pretty established hitters tells you that his stuff plays up here. I mean, that's what he's looking to do. He's not worried about that. That's just talk amongst us.
Right.
Because we love to talk about that kind of stuff. But Lopez has done a fantastic job growing. I'll give you a nugget, and I think this is so all fans understand how good he has been. And I know his ERA doesn't lend itself to this conversation specifically, but it tells you about his stuff. When he's ahead in the count, batting average against 224. When he's behind in the count, 243. There's a slight marginal difference. There's not much, meaning his stuff plays, meaning if he's behind in the count, he can make a pitch and still get a big league hitter out.
Rojas at third, off balance throw to get Martinez. And Lopez is through 6 with a 2-0 lead.
Neighborhood Night Series, hosting Candle Night, Marlins Park on Saturday, and tickets start at just $12 for all residents. For more information, visit marlins.com/Winwood. Let me correct that, Winwood.
Well, a very good 6 innings of work to this point for Pablo Lopez, keeping that right arm warm. And with 2, 3, and 4 due up, you figure he's got a pretty good shot at going out for the 7th inning. Brian Anderson to lead things off, then JT Realmuto and Justin Bohr against Miles Michaelis, who has been good in his own right. This is 65th pitch of the day, and it's inside for a ball. We mentioned off the open the long and winding road for Miles Michaelis to get to the 2008 All-Star season as Brian Anderson for what, the 3rd time in 2 nights with a kind of a half hack, 1 out. The Toyota trend, best averages against righties in the National League. JT Realmuto at .325. Only David Peralta, who had the walk-off home run last night for the Diamondbacks in the 14th inning against the Phillies, has been better against righties this year than JT Realmuto.
Yeah, it's an impressive list. If you've noticed with the list, he's the only righty on the list. All other 4 hitters, Peralta, Markakis, Jeanette, Gerardo Parra, they're all left-handed. In fact, you got to go all the way to the 10 spot to find another righty. Starling Marte, the Pittsburgh Pirates, at .308. Speaks even higher volumes to the success that JT's really had this season. I mean, far and away better than all other right-handed hitters. It's an impressive crowd that he's with, but he's the only righty standing tall.
JT an All-Star, Miles Michaelis an All-Star this year. There's JT on the backhand, DeYoung.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to FPL.com/beattheheat.
Michaelis spent last year in Japan, pitched to a .218 ERA in 27 starts. He signed with the Yomiuri Giants in November of 2014. But prior to this year, when he was in the big leagues with the Texas Rangers, his pitching coach in Arlington was his pitching coach now, Mike Maddox. In fact, this is the first game for Michaelis at Marlins Park since August of 2014. Of course, those numbers are a bit skewed with his time in Japan. Bohr with the ground ball to the right side, and it's Colton Long. An 8-pitch inning. Miles Michaelis working quick, but the Marlins up 2-0. Face Marcell Ozuna. And then Jed Jerko and Paul DeJong here in the 7th inning. Marlins with a 2-0 lead. RBI singles from Justin Bour in the 1st and Miguel Rojas in the 5th. Another hit for Ozuna tonight, had 3 last night. He led off the 2nd inning with a base hit against Lopez, who has been in control to this point.
We've talked about Michaelis and the ground balls. Lopez not to be shortchanged. Ground ball machine here in his short stay in the big leagues. Through 6 starts on the season, he's averaging 1.8 ground balls, flyouts. Tonight he's getting it done as well. 8 more. 8 ground outs tonight for Lopez.
Well, you said it jokingly, it might have even been off air, I'm not sure, but they're going to have to replace the infield.
I knew that there was a good chance for a large number of ground ball outs tonight.
My goodness.
So far we've seen, what are we at? 22, sorry. 22 through 6.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Ozuna. Ozuna with a drive out to left field sends Dietrich back to the wall, and he makes the catch! Derek Dietrich up against the wall for the first out in the 7th inning.
Double D getting it done. He has worked tirelessly behind the scenes to get better. And I got to be honest, listen, it's not always pretty. But when I mentioned his fielding percentage at the beginning of the ballgame, it was because he's been making the plays. It hasn't always been, again, the smoothest. There's a little rough around the edges at times, but when that ball needs to go in the glove more times than not, it ends up there. A great catch by Double D to start the 7th.
Big smile from Dietrich and Lopez for the first out here. And that one misses low to Jed Jerko. Jerko with a fly out in the 2nd inning and a strikeout in the 4th. One of 5 strikeouts tonight for Lopez. The 6 1/3 for Lopez, a new career long when it comes to his starts. Now, granted, just the 7th of his career, but each one of them has been at least 5. And now working into the 7th inning for the first time. But he issues the 1-out walk to Jerko. And that is his first walk of the night.
That's a key spot in the ball game. DeJong's had the best passes at him tonight. Lined out to right his first time up, ripped a double into the left field corner in the 5th. Jerko on it first. Have to pitch him very carefully. Certainly has the ability to change the course of this game with one swing of the bat.
So Eliezer Hernandez up in the bullpen through 10 pitches last night. And now DeJong, left field line. Gone. A low line drive home run that just gets over the wall and left. This game is tied.
Well, 10th home run for DeJong. A hanging breaking ball. He leveled off. Lined it into the left field corner once again. Line drive into the corner was a double. That one stayed up. 105 miles an hour off the bat. Carried right out of here.
Pitching coach Juan Nieves out to talk with Pablo Lopez after the 10th home run of the season for Paul DeJong. Now Colton Wong. We've got ourselves a brand new ball game here in the 7th. Again, you saw Hernandez up in the bullpen, not 100% sure. Manager's never going to tell you who's available and not before the game. But again, Guerrero 29 pitches last night. Steckenrider 27 pitches last night. Bearclaw 21. Grounded. Castro off balance. Dug out by Bohr. Got him.
Well, we've seen some tremendous defense tonight. Once again, Starlin Castro. Beautiful backhand. Nice job by JB at first. Yep, they got him. It's not an easy play. All of Starlin Castro's momentum taking him away from the throw.
And a nice job on the back end of that by Bohr. The backhand pick on the throw in the dirt. Lopez trying to get through 7 innings for the first time in his career. Up over 100 pitches. And the 105 is a new career high. As Hernandez continues to loosen in the Marlins pen. For the Cardinals, Dakota Hudson is up. A lot to like about this start for Lopez tonight. Again, working deep, especially after last night. A few guys really had to work against the Cardinals. Of course, the one thing you don't like is the home run. Dietrich in left field. Now Dietrich lays out and makes the catch. Well, Derek Dietrich with 2 terrific plays in left field in the 7th inning. One going back to the wall. This one toward the line. Lays out. And the Marlins and Cardinals go to the last of the 7th at Marlins Park, tied at 2. Run, but Derek Dietrich an active 7th.
Yeah, after a great catch to the wall, a great catch to end the inning. Didn't quite show you there on that. Oh, there it is. That forward view. You see the concentration on his eyes, being able to get below the baseball and squeeze the catch. great instincts as well right off the step. Dietrich had a busy inning. Lopez certainly very grateful for that. Great couple of catches.
Yeah, high five wasn't enough in that particular instance. You need a hug. One up against the wall, one coming in. Time for the Toyota Inside Look. We focus in on Starlin Castro. 34 games through the 24th of June. Hitting at 276, but since hitting 349. Those are the home games for Starlin Castro. He's been terrific here at Marlins Park, and he will lead things off in the 7th against Miles Michaelis. Fly out in the 1st, to strike out in the 4th. Rockets this one. Martinez able to run into that one and make the catch. One out. For as good as Lopez has been, Michaelis has matched him pitch for pitch. 5 hits today for the Marlins, single runs in the 1st and 5th, and extremely efficient tonight as well.
Same combination that we saw in start number 1, June 7th, versus the Marlins in St. Louis. The four-seam fastball, the occasional breaking ball, and that hard slider almost acts like a cutter. Seen it in on the lefties. Most importantly for the St. Louis Cardinals and for Michaelis, filling up the strike zone. It's what he does. Continues to attack. We were talking, obviously Lopez, 108 pitches, done, 7 innings. Fantastic start, good start. Obviously rough 7th. Michaelis, you can almost project it. He may not be done after this inning. He's only at 75 pitches.
I would agree. The only thing is that his spot leads off the 8th. But look at that. 5 in the 2nd, 8 in the 3rd, 8 in the 6th, 5 so far here in the 7th. Really, it's just that first inning. He had to throw over 20 pitches. Other than that, he has been in control, 2 away here in the 7th.
15 ground ball outs.
There's Miguel Rojas. An RBI single in the 5th. Also been very active tonight defensively, as the Marlins have twirled a few gems on the defensive side of the ball behind Pablo Lopez. Pitch number 80 for Michaelis. Down the right field line and foul. Michaelis hasn't suffered a loss since June 29th against Atlanta. His last road loss, and again, he spent some time in July. Spent some time in Japan. August 2nd, 2014, his last road loss. So Rojas pops this one up. Waving everybody off is DeYoung. A 10-pitch 7th, 2-2.
started. Another one. We just getting started. Let's win. We just getting started. Getting my real girl, ain't nobody in my way. Let's go. We the best.
We play on here at Marlins Park to the top of the 8th, and Pablo Lopez is back out for the 8th inning. Miles Michaelis due up, but it'll be Jairo Munoz to lead things off for the St. Louis Cardinals. Don Mattingly waiting, wants to hear. He's been announced. Okay, that'll do it. Gamesmanship. And that's going to be it for Pablo Lopez. The Florida Lottery call to the bullpen. A terrific start for Pablo Lopez. 2-2 in the 8th. DeYoung to tie it up, but here we are 2-2 in the 8th. The new Monopoly jackpot scratch-offs from the Florida Lottery are a new spin on a classic. They're loaded with prizes from $10,000 to $2 million, so unleash the excitement anytime. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. 4 hits, a walk, 5 strikeouts. Again, the home run really the only blemish. Unfortunately, it was a game-tying home run, but on the whole, a lot to be happy about tonight if you're Pablo Lopez and the Marlins, although he gives way to Eliezer Hernandez, whose last few outings have been a lot better out of the bullpen, and he is the first man called upon tonight. He'll face the pinch hitter, Jairo Munoz.
And confidence high for Hernandez. As you mentioned, throwing the ball better and getting good results.
Lopez and Wei-Yin Chen talking things over.
For Hernandez, 6 of his last 7 appearances have been scoreless. Last night, third of an inning, did give up a hit, struck out a batter. In fact, he struck out a batter in his last 4 appearances.
Strike to Munoz, 2-1. Well, again, Lopez was terrific tonight, 2 runs, but what that did do was snap 3 consecutive home games in which the starting pitchers allowed no runs. Richards and Urania before the road trip, and then Wei-Yin Chen last night. But the last 4 home games, starters have been good. Again, the Marlins are able to play a different brand of baseball when they're here at Marlins Park.
They're able to negate a lot of the power around the National League. We saw some of that last night, maybe even a little bit tonight as well.
Cut on and missed, and a strikeout of Munoz for the first out here in the 8th inning. Well, T-Mobile built for baseball tonight in Colorado. the Pittsburgh Pirates are in town. Jamison Tyone and Chad Bettis are both on the mound going head-to-head tonight. Two guys who both underwent treatment for testicular cancer while they were in the major leagues. Tyone actually talked to Bettis while he was going through his treatments, bouncing ideas off of one another. So, you know, certainly the comeback story for both of those guys. The off-the-field things that they had to deal with to come back, to get back to the top of their craft, and facing off against one another tonight. Pretty cool story out there in Colorado.
Certainly a special moment for both of them as you get back and do what you do best, which is pitch.
Starling Marte with a solo home run in that game, so a 1-0 Pirates lead as Dakota Hudson continues to warm up for the Cardinals. Low to Matt Carpenter, a couple of strikeouts and a ground out. That against Lopez, now facing Hernandez in the 8th. Carpenter has reached base in 25 straight games. Hitting the count 3-1.
See Carpenter 0 for 3. But did a good job frustrating him. Struck out swinging, looking, and a soft ground ball to the right side.
There's a strike. Carpenter might have thought it was a little high, but clearly in the zone, and the count now full. Payoff pitch from Hernandez is sent out to right field. Anderson is back and leaps, but it's over the wall. Another home run for Matt Carpenter, his 30th on the year, and the Cardinals take a 3-2 lead.
Well, this in some ways has really defined Matt Carpenter here in the second half. His 11th home run since the All-Star break. St. Louis Cardinals only have 21 home runs as a team. He's technically out homering everybody else combined. Fastball to his liking in a 3-2 count unties this ball game. Let's take one more look. Just enough.
Well, it's what he does best, leading Major League Baseball with now 20 road home runs.
It's one of the highest home runs I think we've seen here at Marlins Park this season. The Marlins bullpen runs allowed in each of the last 7 ball games. 10 of the last 12. ERA sitting at 6.63 in those games. Coming in is now going to go up again.
And Molina swings and misses for the second out here in the 8th.
Manage your dream team in franchise mode, plus get weekly stats, roster updates, and more. RBI Baseball 18 is available now. Learn more at RBIGame.com. Rated E for everyone.
Matt Carpenter has made the Cardinals bench a very happy group right now. He's the first player in baseball this year with 30 home runs and 30 doubles. Another pull home run for him, which has been his calling card. Another solo home run for him. That's 26 of his 30 that have been solo home runs.
Yeah, I think kind of wrapping up that moment, it felt like it was his now, doesn't it? You mentioned the solo home run, 26 pulled home run. Think about that. 26 of his 30 home runs have been to right field, straightaway right. There's the solo shot.
Now reached base in a career high tying 26 straight games.
It's the longest active streak in the big leagues.
A ball and 2 strikes to Jose Martinez. Martinez a strikeout looking in the first inning and 2 groundouts to Miguel Rojas over at third. Smacks this one foul. Matt Carpenter solo home run. 8th, a 2-run home run from Paul DeYoung in the 7th. The Cardinals themselves a 1-run lead.
His on-base streak at 26 games, get this, Paul, 23 runs scored, 24 RBIs. That is some consistency. Certainly the Cardinals banking on it. He is their kind of key performer. Look to him to get it done. He's come through tonight.
Martinez sticks the bat out, and that will reach the seats up the first baseline. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. I guess that's kind of the conundrum for Mike Schilt and the Cardinals with the way that Carpenter is swinging the bat. Almost play the if it ain't broke, don't fix it game. But the way that he's swinging, if you can get him to the plate with more guys on base, with the way he's going, you won't have so many solo home runs anymore. I mean, 26 to 30 for goodness
Well,
sakes.
and I think in part, though, you know, looking at his Cardinal career, they've kind of done him a favor. That, like, this is the spot in the lineup he's succeeded the most.
Yeah, that's the conundrum. Martinez out to right for Anderson. Matt Carpenter's solo home run, his 30th on the year. A high drive to right has given the Cardinals a 1-run lead.
Florida, and Southwest Airlines are giving you an opportunity to enter for a chance to win all-inclusive stay in Nassau in the Bahamas on Labor Day weekend for the Southwest Airlines Summer Days Getaway. Just tweet hashtag Southwest Summer Days Sweeps and hashtag sponsored at Fox Sports FL for your chance to win.
A 3-2 Cardinals lead as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Got Jairo Munoz staying in the game in right field. And Dakota Hudson is on to pitch. Sierra offered on the bunt attempt, and it's 0-1. 5th game for Hudson out of the Cardinals bullpen. Kind of part of that group of young arms that the Cardinals are giving an opportunity to kind of see what they are made of. As Sierra lays down the bunt, Molina off balance throw gets him by a step. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, here's a perfect example of just getting started. Shortstop Jose Devers promoted to Jupiter this week. He made his debut yesterday for the Hammerheads, and he was solid. Devers went 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored. He was also able to draw a walk. And guys, maybe the most impressive thing about it, Jose Devers is only 19 years old.
Yeah, a youngster came over with Starlin Castro and Jorge Guzman in the deal with the New York Yankees for Giancarlo Stanton. As Martin Prado pinch hits and takes a called strike. Prado's had hits in 8 of his last 13 games. Out to center field, Bader coming in, dives and makes the catch. Wow. Harrison Bader, known for his defensive abilities, on display to take a hit away from Martin Prado.
Yeah, one of the fastest players in the National League. How about this closing speed? My goodness, great read off the bat. I thought he had a hit. My goodness, leaves his feet. How about the extension after he leaves his feet? That's how fast he's moving. See, Paul, you and I would have just dropped straight down.
I would have played on a hop. Never mind that. Come on.
He got a good 6 feet of extension right there.
I had laid back and turned that into a triple. Are you kidding me?
Tell you what, boy, oh boy. We weren't kidding around about the young Bader in center field. He can go get the baseball. That was impressive. Remember, they were playing fairly conservative on Prado. Now for Hudson, he throws hard, 95, 96 miles an hour on the sinker. Little arm side run. Also throws a cut fastball in that 90 to 91 range. Dietrich saw 7 sliders. Michaelis, I wouldn't be surprised if you see one here at some point in this equation.
This a line drive up the middle and a base hit for Dietrich. A 3-hit night for Dietrich. Boy, between the 3 hits and the defensive plays, making an impact on this ball game. But he's going to be lifted for a pinch runner.
Yeah, a great swing once again. 3 hits tonight, all 3 hits going to center field. It tells you he's staying on the baseball. Just catching back up with that velocity. Boy, oh boy, nice game for Derek Dietrich.
3 for 4 as Isaac Galloway comes in. Been with the club for about a week. At the time of his selection from AAA, was tied for 4th in the Pacific Coast League with 20 stolen bases. 2 outs and Anderson at the plate. See if he's on the move at all. They get a check on the speedy Galloway.
Now, Paul, you had mentioned the revamped Cardinal bullpen. Prior to their last 10 games, they'd really been struggling. A 7.93 ERA. That's when they went to the young guys, to your point. The ERA, the young guys, last 10 games, 1.58 ERA.
Helps explain their 7-3 record entering this series.
Chop to third. It's a fair ball. Jerko makes the play right on the line. Through 8 at Marlins Park. 3-2 Cardinals. Tomorrow, the last of this 3-game set, the Cardinals and the Marlins. It is John Gant going for St. Louis, and for Miami, Trevor Richards. And how good has Trevor Richards been as of late? Well, in his last 4 starts, 23 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs, 25 strikeouts. That equates to an .078 ERA. He has figured something out with the changeup, Mr. Hollandsworth.
Well, I think it's a combination, really. If you think about it, that fastball command has been fantastic. He's been able to, well, I say been able to, at times when he falls behind, he's not just relying on the changeup to constantly bail him out of trouble. Not that he's been getting in a whole lot of it, but the point is that you've seen great fastball command through this. And that has paired very well with the changeup. It hasn't really been about more curveball. It's been more fastball, more changeup.
So Richards on the mound tomorrow, but Javi Guerra on the mound right now. Marcell Ozuna leads things off and takes a called strike. Isaac Galloway stays in the game. Pinch ran for Derek Dietrich. No double switch there, as Guerra is in his 13th game.
Guerra picked up his first save of 2018 last night. In a bases loaded mess. Had a huge ground ball double play off the bat of Yadier Molina. It's his first save since 2014. And oh, by the way, tracked up some saves, 31 of them.
Another hit for Ozuna. He has had 5 through the first 2 games in his return to South Florida. A leadoff base hit here in the 9th.
And his team leading 33rd multi-hit game.
Here's Jed Jerko. Fly ball, a strikeout, and a walk tonight. Came around to score on the DeYoung home run as he takes a called strike. St. Louis this year 15 16 in 1-run games. Marlins are 15 12. It's going to take a 9th inning rally offensively, and Guerra's going to have to keep the Cardinals off the board. Marlins will have the bats that they want. Realmuto, Bohr, and Castro in the 9th inning. Time for Lowe's whole team together. The St. Louis Cardinals leading the National League in productive outs. This one may not be one. Anderson toward the corner is able to make the play, and that keeps Ozuna on at first.
I'll tell you what, that's a tremendous catch by Brian Anderson in right field. Certainly not expecting a whole lot of fly ball action, especially hard off the bat. Jerko into that right field corner. That was a good swing by Jerko on a breaking ball, but Anderson had a long way to go to make that catch.
So here's DeYoung. Takes a strike, and he took Lopez deep in the 7th inning.
And you see the breaking ball that had so much bite earlier in the ball game, maybe even a little bit more velocity. That one kind of backed up just a bit. You see it spinning out of his hand. You can kind of recognize it, but it didn't do much. No bite at home plate. DeYoung jumped all over it.
Again, DeYoung finished second in the National League Rookie of the Year vote last year to Cody Bellinger, who ran away with the award. Of course, Holly, you were a Rookie of the Year once, in case you had forgotten. But is that sophomore slump, is that a real thing?
Oh yeah, I went through it. Big time.
DeYoung down on strikes. Just everybody's
Nice
got the
job
book
by
on
Garrett.
you?
Well, no. It's not. I mean, I think a lot of it is, it's probably more to the individual player, trying to, at least in my case, I was trying to reinvent myself as something new. And sometimes you can do that. You set a bar. This is what I did. This is what I can do. And sometimes, your circumstances can change. Expectations can change. And as a player, you don't always handle it the best. I certainly did. My rookie season, I was basically a number 1 or 2 hitter in the top of a lineup, a very powerful lineup. And then I came back about 6 months later and I thought I was the number 5 hitter. Now, part of that is they believed it too. So right. I just didn't live up to what I was supposed to be doing, hypothetically.
Bud Norris getting loose for the 9th inning. 3, 4, and 5 due up for the Marlins. The heart of Miami's order coming up. Hopefully down just a run. Looped into left field, a base hit. Sounded like Wong may have broken his bat on the 2-out single into left field. Nevertheless, 2 on 2 out for St. Louis.
This 2-seam fastball, little arm side run. Wong stayed on it just long enough, but a lot of times you'll see left-handed hitter. If he does that, what you say is it went down a winner.
So now it is Harrison Bader, who's done his part defensively. Guess one good turn deserves another. Remember, his last time up was a line drive to left field. Derek Dietrich took away extra bases. Diving to his right. In the bottom of the 8th inning, Bader took away a base hit from Martin Prado on a diving play. Ball and a strike from Guerra. Guerra needed 2 pitches last night to get the double play ball of Yadier Molina. And a called strike on Bader. Dribbler up third base line, getting to it quick and touching it foul. Still 1-2. Guys getting set for the WB Mason Marlins Live postgame show. Craig Minervini, Tommy Hutton, and Jeff Nelson live from center field. We'll hear from Don Mattingly. Hopefully. way for the Marlins to win this game would be to add to their walk-off win total, which currently sits at 7.
St. Louis 0 for 10 runners in scoring position in this series, 0 for 3 tonight.
Popped up behind home plate, but that'll reach the seats. Over the glove of Guerra, but to Castro to get the speedy Harrison Bader by a step over at first. So Bud Norris coming in to face 3, 4, and 5 for the Marlins in the ninth. Brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Lincoln. Join the Lincoln Summer Invitation Sales Event. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. Bottom of the ninth on the way. Marlins trail this one 3-2. Need to come back, get a run, and then some against Bud Norris, who is on to close things out.
2.93 ERA on the season. Opponents hitting .229 against him. Four-seam fastball, does have a sinker and a cutter. 495 miles an hour.
And there is a strike. JT in this ball game is 0 for 3. Trying to get out of what is now an 0 for 16 skid, and it may not be easy against a guy like Norris. This one on the ground to short. DeYoung for the first out. The reason I say that, Norris no earned runs in 13 of his last 14 outings,
including 5 straight. We're at 21 of 24 save opportunities.
So here is Justin Bohr. Bohr with an RBI single back in the first. Couple of ground outs since then. the ball inside. Norris originally drafted by the Astros in the 6th round back in 2006. Made his debut with the Astros in 2009. He's worked out of the bullpen primarily the last couple of years. Started with the Astros, then went to Baltimore for a few years. 20 games with the Padres in 2015. 22 games with Atlanta in 16, 13 with the Dodgers in 2016, then the Angels, and now the St. Louis Cardinals. So a few luggage tags for Mr. Norris.
Well, JB's got some outstanding numbers against him. 3 for 5 in his career, along with a home run. Starlin Castro waiting in the on-deck circle as well. 9 for 23 with a home run.
Three balls and a strike to Justin Bour. And the Marlins have the tying run on base. And Yadiel Rivera is on his way out to pinch run for Justin Bour.
JB on a couple more times tonight. RBI single in the 1st inning. The Marlins' first run. Walk here. 1 for 3 night. JB passing on a little information. JT Riddle makes his way off. It's a ball game for the big guy. I mentioned those numbers. Starlin Castro, solid production against Norris in his career.
That one misses low. Castro not in love with that strike call. Looked like it might have been a little off the edge. The home plate umpire Chad Whitson says it's a called strike. So 1-1 to Castro. Chase that one 1-2. Rivera leads away from first. They get a check on him. He's back in time. Norris comes in 8th in the National League in saves. That one gets away from Molina. And Rivera into scoring position.
Wow. I'll tell you what, that's a big play. Manny Molina would probably tell you he should have had this. It's going to hit right off the top of the glove. It's a little wide, but it certainly wasn't in the dirt. See Yadi even take a little peek at the glove on his way back to the backstop.
He was set up way over there too.
Yeah, that was the cutter, and it certainly cut a little bit more. Certainly changes the dynamics of this inning.
So the tying run in scoring position. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Castro. He's 0 for 3 thus far tonight. To Jerko at third. Rivera has to freeze, and the Marlins are down to their last out. So here is JT Riddle. Had a triple and came around to score in the 5th. And a called strike on the black, 0-1.
This could be a particularly good matchup for JT Riddle. Talking middle in, what he was working on in batting practice today. You anticipate Norris showing him something. Might be able to pull.
Marlins led this game until the 7th inning. Cardinals hit a 2-run home run to tie it. Matt Carpenter his 30th home run to take the 3-2 lead. The tying run is Yadiel Rivera at second base. Here's the 0-2 from Norris.
And you see the arm side run on the 95. That's kind of how Bud Norris likes to attack the left-handed hitters. You also see that cutter in on the hands. 2 types of fastballs, 1 type of breaking pitch.
Oh-2. Swung on and missed. Molina throws to first to complete the strikeout, and the Cardinals take the second game of this 3-game series to set up a rubber match tomorrow. A 3-2 Cardinals victory tonight. Held off the scoreboard until the 7th. The 2-run home run by DeYoung. That tied it, and then Matt Carpenter. Marlins Live postgame show coming up with the guys in center field. See you tomorrow.